What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson, and we got a little bit more news about the Giants' quarterback situation and a little bit more news about their potential draft plans, depending on how the board shapes out at the number 6 overall pick. So, if you guys didn't see it, it was all over social media. Rich Eisen, somebody who I'm a huge fan of. If you guys don't know, Rich Eisen used to be with NFL Network for a long time. Now I think he's on the Roku channel with the Rich Eisen Show, a very well-respected NFL insider. He covers the NFL Scouting Combine with NFL Network every year, does that 40-yard dash. I love Rich Eisen. He's a great analyst and insider. But yesterday, on his show, he was talking about some of the biggest rumors that he heard at this year's Scouting Combine and did have a big bomb to drop on the New York Giants. He said that the Giants are, quote, absolutely done with Daniel Jones. Said that the Giants are having buyer's remorse. They regret making that deal with Daniel Jones, and they're looking for every possibility to move on from him in this year's draft. So we want to unpack that, kind of react to that, discuss what it means for the Giants, talk about how, the draft board, maybe they are done with Daniel Jones. Maybe they do want to draft a quarterback. Easier said than done in this year's class. A lot of competition, huge supply, and huge demand for quarterbacks in this draft. And then the other half of this, we want to talk about Sean O'Hara, former New York Giants center, now an analyst on NFL Network as well, talking about Rome Odunze, connecting him to the New York Giants as a potential target with the number 6 overall pick, a wide receiver out of Washington that Alex and I both do really like. So we're going to kind of unpack both of those new tidbits of information surrounding the New York Giants in today's episode. But before we do so, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode, subscribe to the channel if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you listen to Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? And what is your reaction to Rich Eisen saying that the New York Giants are absolutely done with Daniel Jones?
Well, it's kind of crazy hearing all the different voices, right? Like, how do we sift through what's right and wrong? How do we sift through what Rich Eisen says or what Mel Kiper says or what this person and that person says? But, Anthony, the one thing that I think everyone is saying is that the Giants are looking for a quarterback and that they're seeing what we're seeing, right? Look, as much as I want to sit here and say, like, I wish Daniel Jones was the future and whatnot, I've had this conversation a billion times. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Everything is on paper. He is injury prone at this point in his career. He is overpaid based on his production. His estimated, or his EPA last year plummeted. It was next to, who had a better EPA than him? Tommy DeVito. People will point to the offensive line, but the truth is we don't know how much better it's going to get. And Daniel Jones is bad with a bad offensive line, whereas Tyrod Taylor was good with a bad offensive line. So, you can see that different qualities and styles of play. And ultimately, I just don't think Daniel Jones' style of play fits what Brian Daboll wants to do in offense. He wants to have this off-script manufacturer. He wants to have a guy that can throw within the pocket, even if there's pressure coming in his face. I do right now feel as though that Daniel Jones has a lot of issues and that we're not going to be able to fix those issues. That one good season in 2022 was really built on his legs, was built by his rushing production, and he's coming off an ACL tear. There's no guarantee that Jones is going to be ready for week 1. He may miss the whole summer, and if the Giants draft a rookie quarterback and that rookie quarterback looks good, he's starting week 1. You know what I mean? If they draft Drake May, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, and they look good in spring and summer, and they dominate, and they're taking over the offense, and they're building the offense around this guy's tool set, they are not going to then flip the switch and go to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going to be the most expensive backup in football. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion at least. And I think that's what should happen because you don't draft Drake May or Jaden Daniels to sit for a year behind Daniel Jones. It's not like he's sitting behind Tom Brady. It's not like he's sitting behind Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. You're just sitting behind Daniel Jones. What are you going to get from him? What are you going to learn from Daniel Jones? It's not a hit on Daniel Jones's, personality. I think you could probably learn a lot how he manages the media and how he stays off social media and, stays out of the spotlight because I think that's ultimately a good thing for quarterbacks in New York. You can learn a lot about the process of being a quarterback here, but there's nothing tangible that you can teach a young player like that you're not going to get from Brian Daboll just watching the film and, doing the studies. So, I do believe that right now the consensus theory is that the Giants are looking for a quarterback. Everybody is saying it. I have probably seen one or two wayward opinions that suggest that they're going to stick with Daniel Jones. But I mean, Rich Eisen just last week was like, I think that Daniel Jones is better than, I don't know, whoever they said it was on week 1 or was it JJ McCarthy or if he thinks he'll be better than whoever on week 1. Yeah, that's totally fair. JJ McCarthy's like 20 years old, but I think the upside is there to be better than Daniel Jones for sure. And then he comes back yesterday and says one of my top 5 rumors is that the Giants are done with DJ, and the injuries, the lack of his ability to get through his progressions, the inconsistencies. He's never had a great season, only good seasons, and now the running qualities are compromised. You have to prepare for the future. The Giants can open up a maximum of $30 million next offseason by cutting him, guys. $30 million. If one of those big receivers like CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson or whatever, and we don't get a top receiver, this in this draft class, if you don't get a Malik Neighbors, or you take a quarterback and you find some in the second round, you're going to have $30 million to allocate towards a superstar receiver to pair with your young rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback. That's how you rebuild a roster. You know what I mean? You use that money you get from the rookie quarterback window. So, Anthony, right now I think everyone's saying the same thing. The Giants are looking at quarterbacks. Jordan Raanan has said it. Dan Duggan has said it. Rich Eisen has said it. Mel Kiper has said it. How many more people do you need to hear from before you think, well, maybe there's some fire where there's smoke here? What are your thoughts on it right now in terms of the legitimacy behind the reports?
I think they're legitimate. I think that's the easiest way to say it. Like, when you have every reporter that you know of, every reporter that you trust, every reporter that you respect, and whose opinion you value highly, all of them are saying the same thing. And I think that kind of tells you what the plans are here. And with the Giants, I like what Jordan Raanan said in his article this morning. I'm going to read this off because I think this is important to include in this conversation. He said, quote, "The reason quarterback is on the table in the first place is not because the Giants don't believe in Daniel Jones, who signed an extension worth $40 million a year last offseason. They didn't change their opinion based on 4 games he started behind a weak offensive line last season. It's more that Jones's injury history is something that cannot be ignored. He has 3 notable injuries in the past 3 years, 2 neck injuries and a torn right ACL that he is still rehabbing. The reality is that the deal they made with Jones last season allowed the quarterback to reach the financial benchmark he wanted. The Giants, in return, got the structure they desired. They're able to reasonably get out of the deal after the 2024 season." I thought that was my favorite tidbit of information from one of the New York Giants' actual beat writers, Jordan Raanan of ESPN. Shout out to him for that, saying that the Giants might still believe in Daniel Jones, might still think that he's a quality quarterback capable of starting in the NFL. However, the injuries, the uncertainty surrounding him, all of that is leading the Giants to believe that maybe they should look in a different direction for the future. And that's exactly what we knew they were thinking when they signed Jones to this deal. Alex, you and I praised the deal not because we were so happy that Daniel Jones got $160 million over 4 years. We praised the deal because he really only got $80 million over 2 years, and we knew how easy it would be for the Giants to cut ties with Daniel Jones if he didn't succeed in the 2023 or 24 season. So that's why we praised this deal and thought that it was a good one, because essentially it wasn't a 4-year deal. It was a 2-year deal with a team option for 2 more years. All the money guaranteed in those first 2 years. Now the Giants can draft a quarterback. They gave themselves insurance and flexibility with this deal. They could draft a quarterback, groom him for a year, move on from Daniel Jones, and have this guy take over as the eventual starter. That's where the Giants are at in this rebuilding process now. They're no longer trying to win now, compete, go back to the playoffs like they were in 2022. Really where they're at is reset that quarterback window, find that new guy to lead your team for the next 10 years, develop him for a year, and then let him really unleash in year 2 of his career. So the 2024 season might not be the most exciting for the Giants. It might be another wash, might be another missed playoff season, but at least we'll have somebody in there. Hopefully, if things go according to plans for the New York Giants, they'll have a rookie in there who can develop and then take over for the future. That seems to be what the Giants are planning here. And again, it's not because Daniel Jones sucks or he's a bad quarterback or he's just awful. It's because of the injuries. More than anything, it is because he has had an inability to stay healthy. And over the past 3 years, as Jordan Raanan mentioned, 3 significant injuries in the last 3 years. Let's look at his entire career. I mean, he had concussions in the past. He had ankle injuries in the past. The neck injury, of course, has popped up more than once. He's had a lot of injuries in his career. He's missed time with injuries in every season of his career other than the 2022 season where the Giants went to the playoffs. So if you want to pull something from that, when the quarterback position is healthy, Brian Daboll finds a way to get his team into the playoffs. When the quarterback position is not healthy, this Giants team is unable to make the playoffs. So finding a guy who can be more available, who can be healthier, and for what it's worth, Alex, you're not going to like to hear this, but I think that might create some caution towards Jaden Daniels at his size and his kind of frequency of taking large hits and putting his body in the way. I think that the Giants' number one trait that they're looking for in a quarterback going forward yes, I love Jaden Daniels' rushing ability. I think it's availability is what they're looking for. I think they're just trying to find a guy, 6'4", big body frame, stays healthy, protects his body. Drake May. I think that's who they're looking at. And it's not just I'm saying that because I love Drake May, Alex. I've been reading a lot of reports that that's who the Giants like out of this group. I've been reading that the Giants are showing the most interest in Drake May, that Drake May reminds them of Josh Allen, and that's who they're kind of trying to target here if they are making the trade up. So essentially, long-winded answer to your question. I wanted to provide more context from what Jordan Rannon said in his most recent report, but I believe that there is a lot of legitimacy to these reports. We're hearing from all different sources all around the league, not even people who are covering the New York Giants on a daily basis. Then you've got people who are covering the Giants and in that building on a daily basis. Everyone is saying that the Giants want to draft a quarterback. A lot of them are saying it's because they don't believe in Daniel Jones. A lot of them are saying it's because they do believe in Daniel Jones. They just don't believe that he could stay healthy. Whatever the reasoning is, the Giants want a quarterback. I believe that they're going to do everything in their power to go ahead and get one. But again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, Alex, easier said than done. Finding that quarterback at number 6 is going to be a serious challenge. You might have to settle on a guy like J.J. McCarthy, which I know a lot of Giants fans don't want to see happen. That's the QB4, consensus QB4 in this class. Taking him at number 6 overall is a tough bridge to sell for a lot of fans. But honestly, for other fans, they're just excited to see a quarterback take over for Daniel Jones and get Daniel Jones out of the starting lineup. And I can't blame you. It's been a lot of losing under Daniel Jones. If you feel that way, you feel that way. So that's really the main caveat here, is whether or not the Giants will be able to land their guy, considering how much competition there is to grab that guy. So if they can't grab that guy, though, Alex, number 6 overall, what do the Giants do? Offensive tackle, wide receiver? Well, apparently there's a wide receiver that the Giants are enamored by. That's what Sean O'Hara is saying. Washington wideout Rome Odunze, who you know, Alex, I'm very high on. I know you like him a lot as well. At the Combine this past week, this guy is an athlete. Like, he ran a fast 40, he jumped high, like, he's got the size, the speed. He was doing like gymnastics tricks and stuff, like doing backflips and those other things. And I don't know, the guy is just a freak athlete, and he's also a really good and productive wide receiver. At least he was for Washington. So Alex, what is your take? I know you have the quote from Sean O'Hara, what he said about the Giants and kind of their infatuation with Rome Odunze. What is your reaction to that, and how are you feeling about him?
Well, Rome Odunze is an absolute monster, guys. I think that we can objectively say that he would be a really great fit for the Giants. I mean, I know a lot of people love Malik Neighbors, and I do too, and you love Malik Neighbors, and he might be our WR1 in this draft class, but Odunze is something special. Like, he's not just this elite route runner. I mean, he's a competitor. At the Combine, he wanted to, I think he ran a 6.88 three-cone drill. He stayed after everyone left at the Combine to continue trying to get below a 6.6. This dude, I mean, it could have just been for show. Of course, like, that makes him look really good. But he's a perfectionist, and you can see it in his route running. You can see it with his hands. He had one of the lowest drop percentages in college football last season, had 3 drops over, I think it was like 140 targets or something like that, 3.2% drop rate, had over 1,600 yards and 13 touchdowns, 65.7% reception rate. He had 3 drops over 140 targets, 92 receptions. This is not a usual player. This is a blue chip prospect. You know what I mean? Like, this is, if you could look at Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Rome Odunze and say to yourself, any of these 3 guys could be the best of this draft class. All 3 of these guys could be all pros. That's how good they are. And, you're not going to go wrong with either of them, but Odunze has that physical qualities. He has the route running that you love in a WR1. He has the hands to go with it. He has the work ethic and the bill of health. He's a monster, guys. You give him a good quarterback, and the guy's going to go off. He's going to have a very, very long and successful career, and he's young, too. So, Sean O'Hara basically said he's been hearing, I know the Giants are drooling over this guy. If he's there at 6, I don't see any way they pass him up. So, assuming that the Giants stick and pick at 6 and there's no quarterbacks available, they would go Rome Odunze. However, if Malik Neighbors is also there, it's tough, man. I mean, Malik Neighbors literally came out and said, Brian Daboll loves me. Like, at the Combine, was like, he loves me. This isn't from a source. This isn't from a reporter. This is from freaking the guy himself. So you have to assume the Giants are probably looking at these guys like, how do you like grade them? Like, it was 1A, 1B. They're probably going to see, okay, like, let's see what the quarterback position looks like for us. Let's see what our scheme favors. We have the deep threats. We have those yards after the catch type of guys. I think they may even go with Odunze over Malik Neighbors just because they think his upside as a route runner and his physicality is a nice element to this offensive scheme. However, Neighbors, one of the best receivers with yards after the catch in the game. Obviously an elite route runner, really good hands, just a game breaker. You know what I mean? Both these guys. I know that a lot of people have Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and then the second tier is Rome Odunze. I think I probably fall into that realm as well. I don't know about you. I'll let you get your take on it. I think that Malik Neighbors is better than Rome Odunze. I think that I would pick him if I had the choice. But, man, like, any three of those guys at the top could be the best in the draft class. Like, that's how talented they are, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. And it's entirely possible that it's quarterbacks 1, 2, 3. 4 is Marvin Harrison Jr., 5 to the Chargers is Malik Neighbors, and that's why at 6 the Giants maybe go ahead with Rome Odunze. Now, if you've got MHJ and Malik Neighbors and Odunze all on the board, personally, I like Neighbors the best, then Marvin Harrison, and then Odunze. But honestly, this class is so talented, and all these guys are so good that you can have varied rankings of these players, and you can have different tiers, different lists here, and anybody can be right. We'll find out. Situation and coaching matters. Where does Rome Odunze land versus Malik Neighbors? Maybe they land in better situations than one another, and that causes them to have more successful NFL careers. You have to keep that in mind as well before the New York Giants and what they're looking for. They might be leaning towards Rome Odunze because of size. I mean, the guy is 6'3". He's, got that big frame. He's got that ability to make those contested catches where, I'm not saying that Malik Neighbors isn't big, doesn't have the ability to make contested catches, but we're talking about Rome Odunze. He had a 75% contested catch rate in 2023. Like, he is the contested catch king. But not only that, because I don't really go crazy, Alex, for, we've been doing this show for years now. I don't go crazy for wide receiver prospects who are only contested catch players, who just make their living on those 50-50 jump balls. I don't find that to be very translatable to the next level. But thankfully, that's not what Rome Odunze is. Rome Odunze is a very crafty route runner, has a great release package, plus he's a dominant 50-50 ball receiver. So he's kind of that complete package there, and that's why if the Giants are leaning towards him, it makes sense because when you're looking at their receiving core, Jalen Hyatt's not a 50-50 guy. Wan'Dale Robinson's not a 50-50 guy. Wan'Dale and Jalen both bring speed. Wan'Dale with a lot of run after the catch ability. When you're looking at Malik Neighbors, yes, he's an elite separator. Is great after the catch. Can get open at all three levels. But also, if you're comparing him to Rome Odunze, Rome Odunze has that bigger frame, is more of a threat in the red zone on those 50-50 balls. That's why the Giants might be personally leaning towards Rome Odunze over some of these other guys, just because he has some abilities that they don't currently possess on their roster, and he has them at a really high level. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'd probably put Odunze in a tier below those other two guys, Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. But with Odunze, his skill set is very specific to what the New York Giants are looking for in their receiving core. So it does make sense if they do end up leaning Odunze in the upcoming draft, because not only are you drafting best player available, but when you're looking at really good players who are kind of like neck and neck, then it just becomes a matter of who fits the bigger need, who fits better in your scheme. And again, that's why Rome Odunze does make a lot of sense for the New York Giants. So Sean O'Hara saying that, he's obviously plugged in. He's best friends with Eli Manning. Eli Manning is still in the building with the New York Giants. Sean O'Hara is actually still in the building with the New York Giants. I still think that he does one of their podcasts or shows or something for one of their YouTube channels or other channels. So Sean O'Hara, he hears things. He's definitely still involved in the Giants building. I don't know how much he knows. I don't know if he really knows that the Giants are planning on drafting Rome Odunze. That's probably not necessarily true. But if he is there on the board and the Giants do take him, I think it makes sense. It does make a lot of sense based on the need that they have at the wide receiver position, and specifically what style of wide receiver they are missing from their offensive lineup. So I love Odunze, love what he brings to the table. If he is the pick at number 6, obviously it means that the Giants aren't getting a first-round quarterback. However, maybe they end up finding one in free agency. They'll figure it out some way, somehow. But we do know that the Giants are looking for a quarterback in this upcoming offseason one way or another, and then pairing that quarterback with a receiver. But again, deep draft class with the wide receivers. Maybe they find somebody in round 2, round 3 who steps in and makes an instant impact. You guys know I like Xavier Legette. Xavier Worthy's really good too. Maybe A.D. Mitchell falls into the second round. There's a lot of options out there at wide receiver. But yeah, Rome Odunze stands out. It's great to hear that he's connected to the Giants. He's one of those players that I think makes a lot of sense for them. But again, just to round this thing out, Alex, all these rumors that we keep hearing, they're going to keep changing. Some of it might be smoke. I mean, listen, we're still over a month away from the NFL draft, but One thing that we do know is free agency is less than a week away. Today, as we're recording this, we've only got 2.5 hours until the deadline for the franchise tag. We're going to be hitting you guys with another upload later on today to kind of react to Saquon Barkley not getting tagged. Whatever the heck happens with Xavier McKinney hasn't happened yet while we're recording this. But of course, all of that New York Giants news, Alex, there's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of speculation going on. Anything else that you want to hit on or any other takeaways that you have from these two big rumors that we mentioned in today's episode?
Not entirely. I mean, look, the NFL draft is a couple months away still, or I guess about 2 months away. Less than that even. And there's going to be a lot of rumors that come out between now and that time. Of course, we have free agency. And look, I think free agency is going to tell us a lot about what the Giants are going to do. If they go out and get like a cheaper quarterback in free agency, it may hint at the idea that they could draft somebody high because they don't want to overinvest, right? If they have Daniel Jones as their predominant backup next year, I feel as though they aren't going to need like a Tyrod Taylor. They're not going to need like a top backup, right? So, we'll see how much they expend on a free agent quarterback. I think they will probably bring one in before. Maybe it could be like a Trevor Siemian or like someone cheaper. We'll see how they operate there. But obviously, there's going to be so many other things that go on in terms of they spend on the pass rush position. We talked about Danielle Hunter yesterday. We talked about Bryce Huff a couple weeks ago. The cornerback market is flush. They're not going to be franchising Saquon Barkley. So there's a lot that's going to go down, obviously, over the next couple of weeks as free agency ramps up, and we kind of see what the Giants do to spend money if they restructure any contracts. So there's going to be a lot of hints to sift through, and a lot of things to look at, and we got you guys covered there as always. Any little small details and financial things I will have written up on the Empire Sports Media website, and obviously we'll drop all that knowledge here on the podcast so you guys have it in your conversations at the bar.
Of course, conversations at the bar, my favorite conversation. So, of course, guys, make sure to stay tuned. We've got all of that New York Giants news. It's all wrapped up in one pretty little bow for you right here on Fireside Giants. We're hitting you on social media, on Empire Sports Media, everywhere. We are everywhere. And make sure that you stay tuned to all of our great content. We've got a lot of stuff planned. I just wanted, before we wrap, say thank you guys for all of the comments recently. They've been super positive. You guys have been praising us like a lot. We've seen a lot of comments saying best Giants content. Love you guys. Love the combination that you guys bring to the show. We do appreciate that. We do see it. Maybe we don't get to every comment. Don't get to respond to every comment. But that's why I just wanted to take a second right now before I wrap this episode and just say thank you guys, because couldn't do it without you. Love having all the support from the community. And of course, you guys keep motivating us to hit you with those double uploads like we're going to do again today and continue to pump out all of this great content covering our beloved and hated New York Giants right here on Fireside Giants. So make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. Comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're listening to Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one. And let's go Giants.
TVSO.